Chase your dreams. You do you. Chase the American dream. Build that 401k. These are things that we hear all the time in our American culture. You see, we're always chasing after the next big thing. And as I walk with Jesus, I realize this is not the way that he has created it to be. You see, these phrases and words that we use so much in America, they put me as the center, the subject, and the main character of my own story. And that just grinds against my spirit as I walk with Christ. I can't help but think that this is maybe why James wrote this next piece of scripture in James chapter 4, verses 13 through 17. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogance. All such boasting is evil. So whoever knows the right thing to do and fails to do it, for him it is a sin. These verses talk about living according to the will of God. And why is that important as someone who follows Jesus? Because we are just that. We are followers of Jesus. We follow Jesus. You see, the word follow is a verb. It's not a slacker word. It's a word that actually has to be put into action. We have to follow him. Jesus uses the word follow a lot when he's calling his disciples. In Luke chapter 9, verse 23, he says, if anyone would want to follow me, they must first deny themselves, pick up their cross, and follow me. You see, if I'm going to follow Jesus, he has to be in front of me. He has to be first in order to be followed. I have to put myself second in order to follow him. But do we do this? In these verses, James talks about how these people make plans to go here and go there for a year and make a profit. And he's like, what is our life? We are but a vapor, but a mist that vanishes. Instead, we ought to say, if the Lord wills. You see, his will must come before our will. His plan before our plan. Are you someone that follows God? You even worship on Sunday mornings. But Monday, you have a tea time. You're here worshiping on Sunday morning, but I'm a stay-at-home mom. Mondays are my cleaning days. I worship on Sunday mornings, but Monday, I've got that college class. You see, we live our lives from Sunday to Sunday to Sunday, but we forget to plan for the in-between. We're living our lives for God on Sunday, but forgetting he even exists on the days in between. James is calling this way of planning arrogant. It puts me as the center and focus of this plan, as if I know the day's numbered to me. I don't. You see, I have to stay submitted unto the will of God. And this is really hard. Even David in the Old Testament, he actually had to ask that God would help him follow his will in Psalms 143:10. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Let your good spirit lead me on level ground. So I was told this phrase growing up. I don't really know where it came from, but I think my dad said it all the time. And it's always stuck with me. It is, how you live your days is ultimately how you will live your life. And you know what? I love that way of thinking, because sometimes I think we think too far future. And we think, I'll follow God, but first let me get through college. I'll follow God. I'll lock in, but first let me find my husband or my wife. I'll lock in, but God, let me get out of this phase of having all these little tiny kids all around me all the time. It'll be so much easier to follow the Lord then. But no, now is the time to walk with the Lord. Now is the time to submit to his will. So I was a part of this small group when I was in my early 20s, when I was in college. And this group changed my way of walking with the Lord. Each week, our small group would get together and we would encourage each other to live according to the will of God every single day. So as we gathered together, we would share some of the most amazing stories. I mean, we were seeing miracles happen because we were a bunch of young adults urging each other on to actually walk with the Lord daily. So this one time I was on my way to college and I was driving and a car was passing me this direction, totally normal, nothing wrong with the car, and they pull into a driveway. And the Lord starts just kind of nagging at my heart, Katie, turn around. Katie, turn around. And I was like, I'm in my 20s. It's not really advised for me to turn around and go check on a car that's not even in distress. But as I drove the opposite direction, the Lord was like, turn around. So I did. So I turned around and I met this woman. She was so sweet and so kind, but she had just ran out of gas, pulled into a driveway, and she had spent her very last dollar. She was on her way to work at a new job, her very first day. And so in her distress and in the Lord's prompting, I was able to pick her up, go get her some gas, get her to her first job. And later throughout that week, the Lord prompted my heart again and again to continuing blessing her and to keep helping her and loving on her. And the result of that was her coming to church with me. She got Christian counsel for a lot of trauma she had been through in her life. She ended up giving her heart to the Lord. And I still to this day get to meet her and meet up with her and say hello to her. And you know what? That never would have happened had Katie's plans been first. Because I was headed to college. And the Lord said, not today. I have something bigger and better for you today. Sometimes God's plans for us are uncomfortable. Sometimes they're sacrificial. Sometimes they mean changing your day around from what you initially had planned. But I promise you, as a follower of Jesus, there's no better place to be than right in the center of His will. My example is just a small one of something that God can do with someone who's willing to follow Him. The greatest example we see in all of Scripture and of all time is when Jesus submitted unto the will of the Father. In Luke chapter 22, verses 41 through 43, it says this, "And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw and knelt down and prayed, saying, Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared to him an angel from heaven strengthening him. And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat became like drops of blood falling down to the ground." When Jesus was in the garden preparing to be crucified, preparing to be beaten, he was anguished. He wasn't looking forward to the pain that he was about to endure. In fact, when he was talking to God the Father, he says, "Remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, your will be done, not mine." And I am so thankful that he did, that he submitted unto the will of the Father. It has changed my life forever. As we go from here, will you be seen as a faithful follower of God? Will you fully submit to His will in your life, starting today, and then submit to His will again tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day? Can you imagine what God can do with an army of believers who are waking up in the morning faithfully, submitting their plans to the Lord and saying, God, not my will today, but yours. So I want to encourage you to live as a fully submitted follower of Jesus. My prayer for us is that we would grasp a hold of all that God is trying to teach us and that we would dig deeper as we move through the book of James.